Have you ever been in an open house, had nobody show up, and you feel like it was a waste of 2 hours? Well, there's your first problem. If I asked you how long should an open house last, most agents are going to say 2 hours, from 2 to 4, from 1 to 3, whatever the situation may be. But however, I will dare to venture to say that the minimum amount of hours that you should spend for an open house is 8. Let me explain that, because I'm pretty sure right now you're about to click that exit button and move to the next video. But before you do that, again, if you've been at an open house and you've sat there for 2 hours and nobody showed up and you felt like it was a waste of time, then you need to hear this. All right, so first of all, the first thing to create, I want to talk about how to create an open house, or open house like a pro. The first thing that you need to do is prepare yourself. And by preparing yourself, there are a couple things that you need to do. You need to act as if this is your personal house that you are selling, and you need to know every detail about this house, beyond number of bedrooms and beyond the number of bathrooms that this place has. You need to know where the wood came from out of the floor. You need to know what type of windows are hung. You need to know when the last time the appliances were serviced. You need to know whether or not the appliances have warranties on them, how much warranty is left. You need to know the HOA details. Everything about this home you need to know. You could do this very simply. One, you could go to the MLS and find that information, but the listing agent that you're working with, have a conversation with them, write down all of the things that you need to know about the house, how long these sellers have lived there, what their children's names are, everything that's going to help you to talk to people when they come through. So when you're walking them through the house and you're escorting folks through the house, you can say, hey, take a look at the countertops. Those countertops were imported from West Virginia, from the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they were picked from a slab of stone that Paul Bunyan walked on. So that type of things, like, tell the story. People want to know the story of the home. In addition to that, know some local places of interest around the neighborhood as well. So if you're close to a park, be ready to talk about the distance to the park. If you're close to shopping malls, be ready to talk about distances to the shopping malls, or distances to walking trails, or things that people are going to be interested in that neighborhood. Find out that information and be prepared to talk about it. What I see so many times is that agents literally show up at the house 15 minutes before. They bring some cookies, they bring some drinks, and then they open the door and just wait. And that's not a great way to think about open houses. So prepare, know the home. Also, so I'm going ahead and get into prepare from this standpoint as well. Before you come to the house, or on the day before the actual time of the open house, also, yes, you do want to have some light refreshments at the very minimum. You want to have some cookies or some brownies or something that's out in the home. So water bottles, if it's on a hot day, hot cocoa station or something like that. I'll obviously get permission from the sellers before you do this. But have those things so when people come through, they are intrigued, they want to stay, they want to mingle, they want to talk, they want to feel like they're home. Now, the other thing I want to mention about this is when you're prepared. Actually, I'm gonna hold that to the end. So be prepared. Now, next, you want to also have signs out. You want to put signs at major intersections all around the neighborhood. If bare bones minimum, you want to have 5 to 6 signs. If you really want to really go over the top and really draw the attention to your open house, you need to have between 12 to 15 signs that you put out for the open house. Now, as you're thinking about where to place these signs, think major intersections. Think about, as you're driving around, what are some places, if you're coming in the direction to your house. So you're going to imagine you're someone driving from the interstate and you want to get to this house. All right, where are the places what are the major intersections that I need to direct people to this open house where I'm coming to. Think about, now you may not have to do a lot of this research. At the time of this recording, we are in election season. So where the people have, where these elected officials or these officials who are running for office, where they have put their signs, they've already done the research. They know where they're going to get a lot of eyeballs on their signs. So piggyback off that, put your open house signs there. Get permission first, but put your open house signs there. Also, if there's new construction around where you're doing your open house, put your open house signs where the new construction is. Because guess what? They have done the research for finding out where they're going to get the maximum number of eyeballs looking at their signs. So you can piggyback off that. So put those in there, but prepare. The day before, you might want to get some balloons and put out in a couple different places so you can draw attention to those signs and make sure that they're the size is appropriate so people can actually see and they know what they're coming to. All right, and get those out at least 2 to 3 days before your open house happens. I don't necessarily recommend too much more in advance than that because signs get taken down. And if you are in a spot where if you didn't get permission and somebody may come by and take it up, and you don't want to lose your signs in that process. All right. So prepare. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what a lot of people miss the boat. When we go to open houses, we think buyers. Buyers are going to come. They want to come to this open house. They want to come and look at this property. They want to think about living there and that sort of thing. We never think, or we rarely think listings. So here's what I recommend. There are a couple of different programs, and I'm not paid. This is not a paid advertisement for any of these, but you can buy a program. The one that I like is called RedX, and you can purchase the program for circle prospecting. You could purchase the program, you could put in the address of where your open house is, and then find not only names and email addresses for the people in the neighborhood and the neighbors in a 1, 2, 3, 4 mile radius, or everybody in that neighborhood. You can also get the phone numbers for these people. So what I recommend doing in that process is creating some type of mailer. And that mailer is going to mention a competition. Now, why do I do that? This is something that you could create on Canva or ask ChatGPT to create a little mailer. And what you would call this mailer is open house preview for all of the neighbors. Now, why are we doing that? We want our neighbors to come. Some people say, oh, neighbors come in, they clog the flow. Neighbors come in, they just want to come and peep in their heads and kind of see what's around and they're just being nosy, Let me ask you this. A lot of neighborhoods have homes with similar structures. If your particular property is different or the same, can you ask that neighbor, hey, what's your structure of your house like? What does it look like on the inside of your house? Or how long have you been here? What are some places of interest? What are some things people in the neighborhood like to do? If there's an HOA, you can get information from the neighbor about details about the HOA. So those are, we don't think about these nosy neighbors as we potentially should. So what I like to do, I like to invite the neighbors an hour early for the open house. So if my open house is from 2 to 4, if that's the time, I'm going to invite the neighbors from 1 to 2. My neighbors that are going to come, they're going to come from 1 to 2. Everybody that comes, they're going to get put into the competition. Their name's going to go in a hat, and they could potentially win like a buying spree at, I don't know, Walmart, or a buying spree at the shopping mall, or free ice cream, or whatever the situation may be. It could be whatever you want it to be. It could be a gift basket. But that's really not important. The prize is not important. The competition is important. So you can send this out, invite all of the neighbors to come to the home. And again, if you are going to do this, it needs to be done at least a week in advance. So you need to get all of that information prior to. So if open house information is coming out on a Thursday and you're just getting this information, then chances are you're not going to be able to execute this at a high level. So you need to be prepared. Again, it goes back to preparation. Be prepared, know what you're going to do, get the things that you need in advance. All right. So send out the mailer or hand deliver the mailer in the neighborhoods that may take a little bit of time, and you can invite them, all the homeowners, to the property early, an hour early, to get a preview. Now, what do you do in this situation? We'll get to this and capture their contact, but you do want to get their information, because now who do you have? What type of pipeline are you building at this point? Now you are building a listing pipeline. Okay, let's talk about how we do that. Okay, so you send out the mailer, you want to build a listing pipeline. There's a couple different ways you can contact these sellers. I talked about getting Red X or something along those lines where you can get those numbers. You could also go to your tax documents, pull up the information, and then go to truepeoplesearch.com and find the information that way. But Red X is a lot easier. True People Search is free. So pick your poison. All right, so you have this information, but what you can also do, you can door knock each one of these neighbors. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to do that, you either need to do that the day before or a couple hours in advance, because walking around those neighborhoods takes a long time. But when you knock on the door, also be aware of solicitation signs and that sort of thing. There's two different, rules of thumb or schools of thought for it, whether or not you're soliciting. Solicitation usually implies that you're trying to sell someone something. In this case, you're not selling anybody anything. You're just inviting them to the neighbor's house for a preview and potentially have some cookies and things. It's just a neighborhood event. So tread lightly in that regard. All right, so when you knock on the door, boom, 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 they open the door. Hey, how are you, Miss Neighbor? My name is David Giles. I'm working with Miss Donna down the street, and we're having an open house from 1 to 4. I wanted to invite you to that, just so you can come in and see things, have some cookies. I'm inviting all of the neighbors and just wanted to make sure to extend that invitation to you, and you can see my face. Also, to let you know, there's going to be a lot of traffic, so if you have any problems with anything, feel free to give me a call. Bam, here's my card, and you hand them the card. Oh, okay, no problem, thank you. Hey, how long have you lived here in this neighborhood? Awesome. Let me ask you a question. What are your goals and your plans for 10 years from now? That's the question that you want to ask them. That's where you want to get that information from them, and that's why you are doing this. That alone will make any open house that you do not a waste of time. That will add value to any open house that you ever do, by getting contact information or getting knowledge about the sellers in these neighborhoods. Okay, so you ask them that question. It's like, hey, Mrs. Neighbor, we told Mrs. Donna that we would do anything to help her sell a house. Is there anybody that you know that you would love to be neighbors with? Now you're thinking, okay, they may know somebody that's looking to purchase this home or looking to move into the area, someone that they would love to be neighbors with. So this is going to be a close friend, a third-party endorsement, if you will, for yourself, that now you can also begin to lean into. And the way in is the open house. A lot of people don't think about this, and it does take skill. It does take some backbone in order to be able to do this, and it does take time. So if you're thinking 2 to 4 for open house, get that out your mind. This is a work day. This is a full shift and overtime. Like, you have to prepare and be ready for this. You got to be in the mindset of you're going to do whatever it takes to succeed. So you ask that question. If they have some information, you may want to have a little folder or something with a flyer for the property that you hand in there. Also has your business card in there. It also has a way for them to contact you to capture their information, maybe a QR code or something like that you could also put onto the flyer and hand that to them. They can snap it and you capture their information. So that is the purpose of this part here. But this is the one thing that a lot of people do not think to do. Okay, let's move on. Capture the contact. All right, I mentioned that a couple different times. We have a tool through this program called YLOPO that we use. YLOPO provides us a branded site, a branded marketing site. YLOPO provides us a branded marketing site that we can use to capture the contact information directly from our computer screen or directly from a print off. There's a QR code that people come in, they snap the QR code, and the information, here's the cool thing, the information goes directly into Follow Up Boss. It's amazing. You don't have to worry about reading someone's handwriting. You don't have to worry about confusing a 7 with a 1 or an 8 with the G. So it's awesome. They put that information right in there. It goes directly into Follow Up Boss, and it gets a special tag so that you can find all of the people from that particular open house that day. So you're good to go. It's awesome. Now, technology being technology, if you're far out, I always like to have some other type of just hard copy sheet as well, just in case something goes wrong with this. But if you are not capturing contact information at your open house, then why are you even there? Like, what is the purpose of even doing the open house if you're not trying to get capture contact information? Like, yes, you are there to help sell that house, but once that house is sold, then what? If you have not done this process, then you are basically not going to succeed, or you're going to make success in this industry a lot harder. And you're probably out there saying, open houses stink. Why do open houses? I'll never do an open house. I don't teach open houses. But here's what we know about real estate. And I stole this from a guy, Joshua, who does the GSD Mode podcast. Everything in real estate works, nothing doesn't. That's all you need to know about that. All right, so here we go. So capture the contact. Now, when you capture the contact, I like to, if I do a hard copy, I usually have a clipboard. Here's a pro tip I learned from an agent that was on our team. She would have a clipboard, and she would have all of the different information. By the way, you can go to like the Dollar Tree and get nice clipboards for $1 a piece. So you get 10 clipboards for $10. It's pretty amazing. So, but I have a printout of the property there and a pen. People will usually walk off with their pen, but they will not walk off with your clipboard. So that's a way for them to have an exit meeting with you. So you can say, hey, what did you like about the house? Tell me a little bit about yourself, this, that, and the third. So you're able to meet with them, talk with them prior to them leaving. You can find out all of the information that you need to know. Are you working with an agent right now? What's your timeline for moving? What brings you into the neighborhood, that sort of thing. So there is that part. And then here is the biggest piece that I think a lot of folks drop the ball on, the follow-up. Follow-up can look a couple of different ways. Now, I mentioned a competition for the folks who are for the potential sellers and the neighbors who are going to come through. All right, the next step we have is the follow-up. I mentioned having a competition or a raffle, if you will, for your sellers and your potential sellers and for the neighbors when they come in. Here's what I like to do as people actually come into the open house. As I capture their contact information, something that kind of helps to entice them to give that contact information a little bit more. And it's going to lead into the follow-up piece here. So during the actual time of the open house, the 2 to 4 time frame, or the 1 to 4, when we invite the public into the open house, what I like to do is, as they're coming in, I say, hey, what brings you in? Something crazy, something simple. Obviously, we know what brought them in. Hey, okay, well, is this the only open house that you've gone to today, or have you seen any additional properties? Anything like that. Something just to open up the conversation and to welcome them into the home. And I do like to welcome them right at the front door as available. If you have a ton of people and you happen to be showing someone around and someone else comes in, then you can follow up with them a little bit later. Signage can help with that as well. Speaking of signage, I like to have on the door and by the sign up a sheet of paper that says, and I just kind of put it on the door, and the other one I put it down in a plastic stand, and in it it says, for the seller's safety, we ask that everyone signs in. Nobody's going to argue about that piece. If we're talking about safety, okay, I'll sign in for that part. Now, to help that along, I also say, gets me back to this part. What brings you in today? Have you seen any other homes? Awesome. Hey, be sure to sign in one of these two ways. Be sure to sign in so that you can enter to win a gift card to Golden Corral, or a gift card to whatever your favorite steakhouse is, or a gift card to whatever your favorite clothing store is. Or it doesn't even matter, but some type of raffle that you can entice them to sign up. If they sign up, they enter the raffle and you're good to go there. All right, and you can reach out to them, which brings us back to follow-up. All right, so in the follow-up, the first follow-up that I do is to talk about who has won this raffle. So announcing is the word I'm looking for. Announcing the winner. So that's the first one. And I put the names in the hat, shake the hat around, pull it out. Whoever it is the winner. And I say their name and I say, hey, I'll reach out to you, da da da. Now, pro tip, only put names in the hat of people who are not represented by other buyers. If you already have a real estate agent, you're not getting nothing else from me. So understand that. All right, so announce the winner. The second follow-up is an update on property. Is it still for sale? Did it go pending? Did they reduce the price? Did the owners do something special? A lot of people, okay, for instance, if you're in an open house, and a lot of the feedback when you're talking to people is, hey, this would be really cool if this was hardwood floor instead of carpet. I don't know, just throwing something out there. Hey, just want to let you know, they put hardwood floor in that room and they removed the carpet. It might be worth taking another look at. You know what I mean? So you're putting that information out there, anything, but you're just updating on the property, just one point to contact and reach out to them. Now, your third contact, notice that the first two had nothing to do with you trying to promote your business to them. But on that third one, that's where you would do that. So here's your promotion piece, and this is where you talk to them about your services, what you can do, and if there's anything else that they want to see, you can also go by and see that. All right, so that is how you open house like a pro. This is not an exhaustive list at all by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some basics right in here that you probably aren't thinking about that you should be thinking about to make sure that every single open house that you do is a success, regardless of what happens between that 2 to 4 time frame.